I don't know if I want it just yet. Mike, do you want it?
I'm ready if you're ready.
All right.
I want it bad enough.
I do want it. I want it bad. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Glass Half Sports. It is Thursday. What's the date today, Mike?
April 7th, all day today.
All day. It's April
All
7th
day.
today. You know what's awesome about April 7th?
What's that?
The Masters kicked off today, and
Masters
it's opening
kicked off
day for the MLB. So I'm pretty juiced, even though it feels like the middle of January in Minnesota right now.
Yeah, it's definitely trending more towards winter than spring, it seems like, with our recent weather, doesn't it?
When I was a kid, I used to feel like it would snow on Halloween, and we would be done with this shit by the end of February. And now it snows in January, and it lasts till June.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Just be glad you didn't go to college in Duluth, where it actually starts in about October and goes until May.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. Well, glad to have you guys in with us. As always, I am one half of your hosting duties, Nick Huffman, here for the show, joined, as always, by a man who is as electrifying as a Pat McAfee WrestleMania match. Mike, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. Actually, very good reference, man. If you guys have not seen Pat McAfee get stone cold stunnered, I highly recommend. He did a great job with it as well.
What a performance.
What a showman.
What a showman. He is in his element anytime there's a camera pointed at him.
Yeah, it was absolutely great. He timed like spitting out the beer.
Oh, yeah.
There's got to be some pictures of him getting stunnered that are just absolutely great. But back to the show. We do have a big show for you guys today. We're going to be talking Twins opener.
That's right.
We'll do our weekly Wild Wolf Watch. Segment called Fight Night.
Got some fights coming up that we're definitely going to have to get to.
We do have some NFL news.
Just a little bit.
And then our big segment of the day is going to be a little bit of a mock draft.
That's
Nick and
right.
I go through the first 11 picks today.
They are setting up the stage in Vegas, and some lives are getting ready to be changed. If you would like your sports viewership life to be changed, Mike, what platform can they find us on?
As always, guys, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch.
Anywhere that you can,
everything.
Anywhere you can find sports content, you can find us, to include Saturday nights at 10 on Channel 6, MCN, in the cities. In the cities here to, just relax from the week. You work Monday through Friday. You deal with the kids all day on Saturday. Go ahead and put them to bed. Let us soothe your evening and get you all caught up on everything you missed out on sports. That is what we are here for. I'm ready to go today.
Yeah, I feel the energy, man. We're gonna be talking about the return of Tiger to kick us off.
That's what I'm talking about. What a road. 14 months ago, this man, the Goliath of golf, gets into a car accident that first they're like, well, he's probably going to lose his leg. Well, then not only does he not lose his leg, they say he's not going to be able to walk. Well, then he walks. Probably never going to be able to play golf again. Then in December, he goes out and plays with his son. Well, he's riding around. Still looks like the swing is intact. And then out of nowhere, in the middle of the week this week, this guy shows up to Augusta, plays a couple of practice rounds, and then stone cold faced to the media goes, oh, do you think you have a chance to win at the Masters? And he goes, I do. And by the way, if you haven't seen his swing, or if you have, even better yet, haven't seen the reaction that Rich Eisen had to Tiger Woods announcing his Augusta contendership this year, I want that kind of passion from all of my sports announcers when it comes to their athletes. This is incredible. Did you ever think he was going to get back here?
To be honest, I thought the next time we might see him would be like on the Senior Open.
Same.
A few years from now, probably barely competing, but just kind of being out there and playing golf. So to see it is very cool. I do get the impression this might be, it's going to be one of two ways, really quick. It's going to be either kind of the last ride.
Yep.
Or he's going to do the whole, I'll play maybe 8 to 10 majors all year and just kind of play golf when I want to. But he is a big enough name, especially from our generation growing up watching Tiger.
20 years of dominance.
That he could get away with it. And actually, while we're talking here, currently at 11:19 on Thursday, he is through 4 and sitting even.
That's good news. I mean, I think him making the cut would be a massive success. I think if he is in contendership, or if he wins, the world is going to melt because everybody loves this guy. And I think what's going to give him probably his best shot at a return here in he's done a couple of these now, back surgeries, some different things, stepping away from golf, is his ability to go back mentally to just being thankful that he's able to play. I think that's a big part of this. For a while, and we both played sports. When you perform at a certain level, you set the standard to performing at that level, and sometimes your own expectations get in your way.
Right.
I think Tiger has been victim to that with the way that he has muscled his swing for many years and tried to do some different things. Now he's just fortunate to be thankful to be there. And the other part is, I think without him being able to go full bore into every swing and torque his back and put all this pressure on his body, him as a naturalist of golf that generated the beginning of that 20-year run is what we're going to get a lot of this weekend at Augusta.
I'm looking forward to it, man. It's fun to see Tiger back out on the links. Question for you: if he does win the Masters, is it more of a kudos to Tiger, wow, what an athlete, or is it almost a drawback on the field? Because this guy who basically hasn't played golf in over a year, I don't care if he was at one point the best in the world, because he wasn't the best in the world when he got hurt 14 months ago still. Is it almost more of a drawback against the field that this guy can kind of just come in and take one of the biggest tournaments of the year?
I think it's a massive thing for Tiger. I don't think it's anything against the field. He is, and it's so weird for me to draw this comparison. The talent level has, for him in the field in golf, was always like Jordan in the game of basketball.
Right.
There's such a gap between capabilities that those two guys at 80% is the field on their best day.
Right.
So is he going to be the number one player in the world ever again? Maybe not.
Maybe for a weekend.
Yeah, maybe for a weekend. Is he going to be able to sustain it? Probably not. But if he comes out and wins this, which would tie him for 6 green jackets for the all-time lead, and then he wins another major or two, he cements his legacy, because the only thing he's chasing now is number of majors. I think it's in 14 or something total. I think he needs to get to 16 and cements his legacy. And if he does it at this age, just by being himself and just enjoying the game of golf, it'll be great for the next generation. There will be a whole new group of kids like Will Zalatoris and stuff that are just coming onto the tour now that are going to get to experience the volume crowds that are going to be needed to help kind of pass the torch when he does finally retire.
Yeah. Yep,
so
agreed, man.
I'm stoked.
I look forward to hopefully seeing the red polo on Sunday, even if he's not in the top 10.
If Tiger wins next week, I'm coming in. I will buy a all green suit jacket, and I will come in a red polo and green suit jacket, and I will wear it the entire show in honor of Tiger Woods.
All right. Awesome.
For sure. Let us know what you guys think on Tiger Woods' return to Augusta, return to golf in general.
Yep.
And if you think he's going to be able to pull it out against the field this weekend, we will get back to you either here live on the show or in the comments afterwards, because we're always happy to hear from you. We love our fans. We love you guys. I don't love Mike, but I love you guys. So what do we got next, Mikey?
Our next segment is called Talking Twins. So it's our new weekly segment.
Yes, sir.
It's basically our baseball version of Wild Wolf Watch.
That's right.
So touching base with the Twins, I know you wanted to talk about a guy named Mr. Juan Soto this morning.
Yeah, Gabe's got a clip for us that we can run whenever he is ready. I wanted everybody to listen to this in case they didn't hear it during the broadcast.
Who was the second that you thought you had and it didn't work out?
We actually had a verbalized deal that unfortunately didn't come to fruition. Another team beat us out. And it's one of the great players in our game right now, Juan Soto.
Wow. 1-2 swing and a foul hung onto by Jeffers. Another strikeout there from Gray. 3 straight strikeouts. I did not know that. So Juan Soto, huh? Juan Soto almost was a twin, huh?
And that's what you do leading up to the signing period. You get to all the players you like and you try to make agreements. You want to try to get them before the actual signing day occurs, because it can be rather chaotic. And we thought we were in very good position and placement on Juan Soto. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a tough one to swallow, obviously.
Man. So
Could you imagine if today our outfield consisted of Byron Buxton and Juan Soto?
Yeah, to be honest, I just don't go down the what if rabbit hole, especially being a Minnesota sports fan. Wolves could have had Steph Curry.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just off the top of my head. Vikings have missed on plenty of players in the draft.
That's an understatement.
It's a cool little soundbite and it's a cool thought, but beyond that, it is what it is. Plus, you never know if Soto. I mean, he might not have turned into who he is here in Minnesota. You know, there's
Very
just
true.
way too many variables. Very cool, but that's about it for me.
Yeah, my whole take on this is I was very surprised that this wasn't more noteworthy news sooner. Right.
I think it happens a lot more than we think.
I would assume that that's the case.
Where career paths could have been changed completely and people just don't know.
Right. I mean, my player on the show is probably going to get traded to a dumpster fire here in the next couple of weeks. But I was surprised that it didn't make bigger headlines. But my caveat was he already has a relationship then with the Minnesota Twins front office.
I would say somewhat. I don't know if it's necessarily a good relationship if it doesn't end with a deal. But
Scott Boras is his agent.
Yep.
And we just got Correa, who's probably going to want to try to make a run here with the Twins. There any chance that connection leads him back to Minnesota if they look like they're just missing a piece to be dominant?
I just don't know if the pocketbooks are going to be open enough to afford a Soto and a Correa. It could be like Correa leaves after this year, then maybe, but I don't know what Soto's contract looks like, unfortunately.
Well, he's in his last year of arbitration.
Okay.
Turned down like a $340 million deal, I think, from Washington before the trade
Got a
deadline.
question from the fans here.
At what point in Soto's career did this happen? This was back in 2015, during the
So basically his first contract.
Baseball has what's called like an international signing period where there's players that put in applications, kind of like Gabe's guy from the Cubs had to go through this year, where they put their names in and then they start to meet with MLB. They meet with MLB agents and teams and they try to figure out what the best landing spot for them is going to go or is going to be. And that's what we're referring to. So back in 2015, not unfamiliar territory for the Twins. Just this last offseason, I know we also grabbed Acuna's brother, who's in our minor league system. That's how we dealt with Miguel Sano as well, coming out of the Dominican. We signed him at 17. So that's not an unfamiliar path for the Twins to take with international players, especially because we are a little bit of a smaller market team and we're not going to be able to get them after the big contract comes up. But yeah, that's the time period for that. So it's been 7 years. That's why I was surprised it didn't make news sooner.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just don't think it made the news because it wasn't
newsworthy.
It just happens so often, I'm sure. But let's actually switch over to something that is big in the news for right now for the Twins.
Yeah, a little bit of trade news this morning.
How do you feel about this one, man? Let's first go through the details of the deal.
Yeah, so Brent Rooker and Taylor Rogers were traded to the San Diego Padres for Chris Pollock.
I'm going to pronounce it Paddock
and Pollock, whatever. And what's the other guy's
Emilio
name here?
Pagan.
Emilio Pagan, who is a reliever. So we got a starter and a reliever for Rooker and a closer. This made zero sense to me. The starters never pitched more than 150 innings in a season, and the reliever is like a middle of the road guy. Now, I will say, the starter's age, Chris's age, is 26. He's got a couple years left on his deal, so it gives them some control in the rotation in coming years if the Archer thing doesn't work out, if the Duffy thing doesn't work out, so on and so forth. But you kind of already have 5 starters, so what happens now to the rotation is my major question here.
Yeah, I think you're basically just adding to the depth that you have. I don't know if necessarily because Archer could fall off.
Yeah,
Duffy has never pitched that much in a season as far as like innings wise, being a starter. It's just insurance at this point. And yeah, Paddock hasn't pitched a ton of innings, but he has a lot of appearances as well.
Yeah. Wasn't great last year. 2019 was a pretty good year for him though.
Yeah, he's about a 500 guy.
Yep.
As far as his win-loss record. But again, like you said, he is only 26. The Twins do have a pretty good pitching staff as far as developing pitchers, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Evidenced by Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, a lot of these young guys that have been successful.
Yes, sir.
And the way I look at it is Brent Rooker, he's a decent MLB talent. I'd say average to below average.
I think at his best, he was a B- level player.
At his absolute best.
Yes.
The thing is, I don't see him actually breaking into a ton of playing time with who we have in the outfield either.
And the guys we have on the way.
Right.
Keep in mind.
So I think that if you really wanted to break down this trade, it was really Taylor Rogers for Chris Paddock and Emilio Pagan. The problem that I have with it is we now don't have a closer.
So we go back to what, closer by committee, like we did last year.
Yeah, I don't.
That's tough. Otherwise,
unless
are you convinced Duran, as a flamethrower at the major league level, you can turn him into a quality closer?
It wouldn't be a horrible idea, especially to start the season. Throwing 3 digits and then that splinker that he has is unhittable. But the Twins have done some things this offseason that I wouldn't be too surprised if when we end the show, it's, hey, we've actually flipped Chris Paddock for blank and blank, and now there's our closer, and we're even feeling better. So honestly, I'm shocked that I'm about to say this. I think it's probably the first time I've ever said this at 28.
Okay.
But this offseason has given me faith in the Twins front office.
I think it's just due to there's no stagnancy, and I think that's a big plus. Like there have been so many years. There's been so many years, whether you're a Wolves fan, a Wild fan, a Vikings fan, a Lynx fan, where you're just waiting for somebody to be aggressive enough to make you want to buy tickets.
Yep.
And believe in what's going on. And we haven't had that. And now they have it, which is fantastic. So I'll agree with you a little bit on that standpoint. I think this was kind of an option that we were forced into after Manaea got traded to the San Diego Padres, which I believe is going to lead to Montas ending his year in Oakland this year. So if that's the guy you're going after, good luck. You're not going to be able to get him now.
Yeah.
We'll see. This is one of those long-term, you're going to have to wait to see how the season plays out in order to grade it kind of things.
I would agree. I would agree completely. Let us know what you guys think about the latest Twins trade and the roles that maybe some of these new guys are going to play. Is Paddock going to be in our starting rotation? Let's flip it over. Our last segment of this, or our last mini segment of this segment, is going to be the schedule breakdown for the Twins to start the season.
Absolutely. We do this.
Twins opening day is actually tomorrow.
Was supposed to be today. But Minnesota weather is never kind to.
I don't hate the move though. Either.
Me either.
I think the Wild, they were talking about this. The Wild are playing at like 4:00 on Masters Sunday.
That's awful.
And they were just like, well, why don't you just move it to 7? Like the Twins looked outside and said, yeah, it's going to be snowing on Thursday. So we're actually going to bump that game to where Nick's head is on the
right here
sheet there. And it was just commonsensical, right?
Yep. So we're going to get the Mariners on a 4-game stretch at home to start the season. Joe Ryan is going to be your opening day starter. Congratulations to the young stud for pretty much cementing himself. I think that's a little bit of a nod to, hey, you're going to be the ace of the rotation for years to come. Then I'm sure you're going to see Sonny Gray and some of the other pitchers. Then we have a 2-game series with LA at home. Before we see you guys again, Mike, your thoughts on the Twins heading into the early parts of April here?
I hope we get at least 3 wins against the Mariners because the next week is pretty tough.
Your sentiments look like my notes here. You're going to have to win the series against the Mariners because good luck stealing either one of the games from the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, you could maybe steal a game from them, but
if you're lucky.
I think it depends on what game it falls on for them. If that's their 5th game and you're throwing against their 5th starter, or that's what makes baseball so interesting.
Right. It's who are you getting on the bump?
And then you got to travel to Boston. So yeah, I mean, playing in my opinion, not great Mariners team, an up and coming Mariners.
They've got some pieces.
Up and coming Mariners team. But then you flip around and play 2 teams that have double your payroll. So, yeah, hopefully they win early because I don't think there's going to be a ton of wins in that second week of April.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you the chance here. Do you want to apologize for asking Buxton to hit in the 9-hole after he smashed 5 homers in the leadoff spot during the last couple weeks of spring here?
Spring training basically is glorified preseason. So no, I'm not.
I'm sure that's where he's going to start the season. Notoriety Sports says Sonny Gray sounds like a porn actress's name. I can't help it. Strikes me every time.
No comment. I'm going to leave that one there.
Clear your browsing history. That's my suggestion. But let us know what you guys think the Minnesota Twins record is going to be as they open the season here at home at Target Field. I know me and Mike will definitely be out there for a couple of games this year, and we will let you guys know when that is so you can come out and see us. We will, as always, get back to you here on the show or in the comments afterwards. And then time to give some stuff away.
Yeah, let's celebrate opening day around MLB with a card giveaway. We're going to do baseball cards today.
Yeah. Bowman's Best. These are from the 2021 season here. So actually a little tribute to the Twins. Austin Martin's on the front of these as well. We're going to open up 2 packs, which is 10 cards. Mike, as I get these packs open, why don't you roll through the rules?
Sure. So the rules of our card giveaway contest. We are going to give away any card out of each of these packs that we're opening today,
yes,
or from the previous packs that we've opened. So we have quite a few football cards here around the studio.
Yes, sir.
That you can also enter to win. In order to be entered to win, and you can get unlimited entries, folks. You
on
can
any platform.
On any platform. On Twitter, just take a screenshot and add us at Glass Half Sports with the card you want to win. TikTok or Instagram, share the clip or picture that we share on that social media and comment with the card you would like to win. Facebook, go to our Facebook at Glass Half Sports and share with the card that you would like to win as well. So whichever social media you're on, basically you need to share our picture or a clip of the card giveaway contest to your friends, to your followers, and then make sure to include the name of the player of the card that you would like to win as well.
Yeah, and then we'll draw that card, or we'll draw your name out the following week. Gabe's going to get us all zoomed in here before we get going. So it's a little far. Here we go. It's on the fly, folks.
Ooh, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I can just move
go
my
down.
hand over
Yeah,
here.
yeah, no, it's okay.
Oh, bingo.
You guys get a nice shot of Nick's tattoo. Yeah, I did pretty well in Sharpie marker this morning on that thing, huh?
Every morning I draw this on. Every morning I draw it on. Bingo. All right, folks. So we've got William Contreras. Ooh, Sam Bachman. Ooh, Spencer Torkelson. He's an up-and-comer for Detroit.
That's a good one. Yep.
Nice. Ooh, what is this? Colton. So dropping him. Colton Cowser. Little insert card there. Ooh, Wander Franco. There's a nice one. Zach Veen. Key Brian Hayes. Glaber Torres. Ooh, here's our auto card. Victor Acosta from the Padres. Yep. And then Christian Hernandez from the Cubs. So these are the 10 cards that are up for grabs on next week's. Well, I'll put the valuable ones up there, obviously, but those are your 10 cards that are up for grabs next week to be drawn to win.
Including our cards that we've drawn. So I know that we still have a Drew Brees around here somewhere.
Nope, that one got taken.
Oh, it did?
That went to Zach Sandbachen, who was our second winner.
Wow, congratulations, Zach. That is definitely the card I was looking at, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely squirreled away that the Julian Edelman quarterback card.
Yep.
So, you know.
So, yeah, make sure to share and comment with the name of the player that you would like to win.
Absolutely.
Unlimited entries. I got to say that.
As many entries as you would like. The more friendly you are to this show, the more friendly your odds will be. Forever in your favor, Hunger Games style. So, Mike, what do we got next? A little Wild Wolf Watch?
Yeah, let's transition into our Wild Wolf Watch. You know, going into, was it yesterday?
Yes.
Wow, yesterday was a long day. It
was a long day
like
yesterday.
It was a week ago.
Yep.
Going into yesterday, I was really looking forward to our Wild Wolf Watch segment.
Mm-hmm.
And then both the Wild and the Wolves just decided to make this segment a little bit harder on us.
Weird, a Minnesota team making it hard on themselves.
The Wild, which one should we tackle first here?
Minnesota Wild, I think, goes first.
All right, so we'll go Wild. They've been extremely hot lately, playing very good hockey.
Yes.
Went out to Nashville, a road game in Nashville. I think there were 3 fights in the first 11 minutes. Nashville wanted to say, we are more physical than you, and you will know it.
They were right.
And they were right and beat us 6-2. Is this something to be alarmed about as we head into the playoffs with probably the 2nd seed in the division?
You know, I want to say, yeah. Who was in goal during the Nashville game?
It was Fleury. But
it was Fleury.
I would say like the first 3 goals that he let in, 3 or 4 if I remember correctly, weren't really him. Kind of just tic-tac-toe,
Bad
boom,
defense.
boom, boom.
Yeah. So I don't think it's anything to worry about. Obviously, it was his first start back after having a pretty decent amount of time off because Talbot was on such a heater. I wouldn't shy away from it. I would keep him in goal for the Blues game that's coming up to get some of the rust banged off as you prepare for the playoffs. They're a very physical. The Blues are a very physical team. I'm not too concerned. Home ice advantage and stuff right now, and positioning is really the game that you're playing as you've secured. It's not like the NBA, which we're going to talk about with the Wolves, where you're worried about playoff or play in, right? So no, I'm not too concerned. Are you?
I think it's always been a weakness of ours, and it's just frustrating to see it get exploited, but
Yeah.
that's all it was. There are few teams in the NHL that can exploit it to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Preds are just kind of a bad matchup for us at this point.
But they're who we could wind up playing against in the first round.
Yeah, they are. I just don't know if they would be able to necessarily keep that physical style of play up for 7 games with a team like us with the speed that we have.
Yeah.
And that would be the difference is, are we able to skate hard still, even though they are a physical lean on us type presence?
And I think some of the bodies we added at the trade deadline will help with that in a playoff series where that would be a concern, right? Like,
Correct.
So I'm not too worried. There's not a whole lot else to talk about as they wind down the season.
We just know what the Wild's weakness is.
Yeah.
Like,
And
it's a glaring weakness, but
one hole in the armor. So find a way to protect it.
right.
And that is my suggestion. Any other concerns or comments? Kirill, by the way, congratulations for becoming the all-time single season points leader for the Minnesota Wild. Well deserved. Has he earned his contract to you up to this point?
I would say yes.
I would too.
I mean, yeah, you pay him the money and you hope that he plays well. Statistically, he's the best Wild forward ever. So I think
at the youngest age.
Yeah,
I mean?
think you have to say he's lived up to the contract thus far.
Well, I mean, and we know that was a concern, right? It was a lot of money for a guy who's really only done it for 1 year, and it didn't really lead to anything in the postseason. But
Right.
I think his style of play and what the team has done around him has validated some of the earnings that he's made to this point.
Agreed.
So, when I was going to say we have the schedule for the back part of the season that Gabe can get to us when he is ready. That Neard's getting pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I got to shave it again.
No, just keep it because the Wolves aren't going to be. We'll get to them in a minute. But
yeah, we're gonna have to ask our fans about that. A play-in game is technically postseason.
Oh, bullshit. So the final game some of the final games. Actually, they got a couple weeks left, don't they?
Yes.
Their season goes longer than the Wolves.
Yes.
Yeah. So St. Louis away tomorrow, then daybreak before we go to LA to face, or actually LA comes here to face us against the Kings, and then the Edmonton Oilers, whose numbers.
That's that Sunday night game at 4:00 I was talking to you about.
Yep. And with Edmonton, we've kind of had their number all season long, and then Dallas on the road, but we'll be with them before that game kicks off next Thursday.
We'll be with you guys pretty much during that game, so we might even have to be checking in for a Wild Wolf Watch segment.
Damn straight. So, what's your prediction for the next 3 games for the Minnesota Wild here, Mike?
I'm not going to be optimistic. I'm not going to be pessimistic. I'm going to be realistic.
1-1-1.
I'm going to say 2-1-0, or it would be really nice to go 2-0-1 even. I don't know if we necessarily get out of St. Louis with a win, but if we can force it to overtime to get that extra point, I think that never hurts. I think we do beat the Kings, and I think we beat the Oilers, especially at home. And then we'll see you guys on the 14th before the South Stars of Dallas.
Yeah, I would like to see Minnesota redeem itself from some of the previous showings against St. Louis with Fleury in goal. You know what I mean? They may not be, the the knockers in the playoffs that everybody expected them to be after the run they went on kind of after the NHL All-Star break, but they're a quality team that you're going to have to play well against in order to win, right? Like they're not getting blown out. They are in contention in every game that they play in. So go in, playoff style atmosphere. That city loves their hockey. Get Marc-Andre Fleury, knock the rust off, play a solid game, get a win there. And then, beat Edmonton, and I'm cool if if you drop one of the Kings, whatever. But just stay pace, right? It's all about preparation now at this point, getting ready for the playoffs.
Agreed. Yeah, and every point counts as far as jockeying for that position.
Yes.
As we can see here in our next graphic. So this is a Western Conference graphic here. Sitting second in the Western Conference, well, tied for second behind Calgary. But in our division as well, we are second. So that's kind of how the NHL breaks up their playoffs.
Yep.
We'll walk you guys through that before
the playoffs start.
The playoffs start, just so you kind of have an idea of the format that they follow. And actually, that's a really good segue kind of going into our NBA segment here following the Wolves. We should probably break down how the NBA playoffs work for those who maybe aren't as familiar.
Yeah, we can do that. But before that, make sure if you have comments on the Minnesota Wild that you put them in that little comment bar below so we can talk to you. Like right down there, there's a comment bar. Just use it. It's good to communicate with us. We want to communicate with you. But we can talk about the Minnesota Wild with, a sheep in wolf's clothing in Karl Anthony Towns on defense as of late.
He's playing for the Wild now?
Or Wolves, whatever. He might as well be playing
human.
hockey.
Look at that.
I am human. I do make mistakes every once in a while.
So Nick is very frustrated at Karl Anthony Towns and his lack of defense lately.
Frustrated is an understatement. The only game that we've won in the last, and this is why I say this, the only game that we've won was that game we were on the road. Oh, who are we playing against? He had 2 blocks. He played really well on defense, and we won the game. Every game on the front end and the back end of that victory, he's given up 20 to 25 plus points to play opposing players in the post. That's got to change with the playoffs coming. It absolutely has to.
Dude, we're like 8-1 going into a loss against. Yeah, I think we're like 8-1 going into a loss against the Wizards. Like
it's no
beat the Nuggets. Oh no,
Nuggets was the game. He played well against the Nuggets.
Oh, geez. I don't know how I was reading this incorrectly. I was in the wrong spot.
But he played well against the Nuggets and against Jokic, and we won that game. But the previous games against Tatum and Ayton and Powell and then Kristaps Porzingis the other night, that's the difference, man, has been big men. Because especially in the game of basketball, when you've got a big man that's scoring like that, then you have to play help side defense, and in today's NBA, you get a lot of smart kickouts for 3-pointers at that point, and you cannot afford to have that happen throughout the course of a series.
Well, there's some optimism here. So you think that the Achilles heel for the Timberwolves
is Cat's defense.
Yes. I would say it's Cat's defense, especially against top 10 talent in the block, correct?
Yes.
So as of right now, and we'll go through the playoff scenarios for you. As of right now, we're going to play the Clippers in the play-in game.
We're going to get to that in a second, but yeah, they don't really have an established big man.
And if we win that game, like I think we should, we would play the Grizzlies.
Yep.
Again,
Steven Adams is a little bit of a bully.
Adams does not scare me though in a 7-game series. I'm sorry. Ja Morant scares me.
Physicality wise, Steven Adams should scare everybody.
I'm not scared of Steven Adams dropping 25 on Cat's head though.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
So the Wolves actually have 2 games left tonight against
San Antonio.
Greg Popovich's Spurs.
Without Murray, I think upper respiratory infection for him. He is out.
I believe so, yep.
During this game.
And then Chicago on Sunday with a nice test to go into the playoffs with.
That's what you want. Test yourself well before. Now, here's how it goes. If Minnesota wins twice and Denver loses twice, we secure the 6th seed. I have heard all week on K-Fan, and yes, I'm talking to you, K-Fan, the ever-conservative K-Fan, lose because we want to get into this matchup with Memphis. Nobody wants to get us matched up with Dallas or Golden State. Why on God's green earth would you put yourself in a situation to potentially miss out on the playoffs as a whole in a play-in game against the Clippers rather than just taking the extra rest and the for sure gotten series in the actual playoffs. I can't stand that narrative. Can you explain it to me?
Yeah, because I kind of agree with it.
Oh,
Well,
No.
here's the thing. Okay, so it's all probability. It's all probability and mathematics. So the odds of us winning the next 2 games, I would say, are actually quite high. However, if you look at the Nuggets schedule, the odds of them losing their last 2 games, in my opinion, is quite low.
Yeah.
So losing against the Spurs tonight or losing against Chicago on Sunday does not affect your seed in the playoffs.
but if you would have played better,
Yeah,
towards the end of the season,
correct. But that is moot at this point right now. Would you agree?
yeah,
Okay. So if you're Chris Finch and you're down by 5 late in the third and Anthony Edwards is sucking wind, let him breathe. Wait till the 4th. You know what I'm saying? These are not must-win games against the Spurs and the Bulls going into the playoffs. This is a recoup. You're the 7 seed. Start getting ready for the Clippers now. Because I personally would much rather play the Grizzlies than the Warriors or Mavericks as well. I think it's a better matchup.
have we
for
not
us.
had the Warriors number all year?
We have, but
Okay.
I see what you're saying. I really do. I don't.
Do you not
I
think-
don't discredit it. But would you agree that a playoff series that Golden State has home court advantage and Clay and Steph and Draymond back is a little bit different than a January regular season game in Minnesota?
I would agree, but I'm going to flip your theory on its head. When you talk
I
about
expect nothing less.
oh, good. When you talk about long-term progression of this team, what would the Wolves gain more from? Playing a team that they are on par with or playing a 7-game series against a team who has 1,000 combined playoff games together?
Right. Totally understand that logic. And here's my retort to it. I think that they would get more out of, because my expectation for the Wolves this year is not to win it all.
Yeah.
It's to progress and get playoff experience.
Yep.
Well, playoff experience comes with games, right? What's going to get you more games? You could have a 6 or 7.
He flipped you on your head. Get it?
You could have a 6 or 7 game series with the Warriors. You're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
In 6 or 7. I think you could have a 6 or 7 game series with the Grizzlies and come out on top. I truly believe that we can beat the Grizzlies in a 7-game series. I think that that's actually trouble for the Grizzlies.
I agree, but
And then you get another 5, 6, 7 games out of your playoff run, and you didn't have a first round exit. So now you're looking at 14 games in the playoffs as experience instead of 6 and a loss.
No, I agree. I'm just saying playing against, I believe that in every sport there is what boxers call the rub. Canelo was so much better after he lost to Floyd, right? Like you look at the 04 Red Sox, they lose 3 games to New York, and then you kind of see the way that they play ball, their mentality, it changes, and they become dominant. Sometimes it's better for you to take the temporary L and the experience from the best team, the bones of the best team in NBA history almost, and learn, then get a fluke win in the first round of the playoffs and then be like, oh, we got out of the first round. Yeah, that sells tickets, but is it what's best for the team long term going into next season?
So the biggest thing is you want them to almost learn from their loss.
And I'm not saying they can't win.
But I think that this team has been learning from their losses for years. And we've learned from those losses, and it's now time to go win a playoff series.
I'm also, by the way, not sitting here saying play Golden State because you're going to lose. I do think we've had their number all season. I think Pat Bev would give Curry fits. I think Edwards on.
But let me ask you this:
not
you truly
100
believe that if you could choose a 7-game series, the opposing team is going to have home court advantage either way?
Yep.
You can't tell me in the right mind that you would rather play Golden State.
You're right, Mike, because I'm fucking crazy.
Okay. Well,
That's as simple as
it's
that.
been confirmed. My thoughts all along.
I don't know
All
what to
right.
tell you.
No, I mean
It's
dude, it's
Golden State's also not at 100%.
It's when you called me at 10 o'clock at night to yell at me for Byron Buxton and the 9-hole thing. Okay, sometimes we just got to agree to disagree so we can move on with our lives. Okay,
I do call Mike.
let us know what you guys think
All the
because we could go back and forth on this for a while.
Yes.
Who would you
like
rather
to
see the Timberwolves play if you could choose in the first round, Golden State or Memphis? And let's not just look past the Clippers, but I do strongly believe we'll beat the Clippers at home in a one-game
We
playoff.
better not just look past the Clippers. Paul George has been dragging that team.
Yeah, they've also gotten
Along.
kind of lucky with their matchups. Yeah, they looked great against the Suns, but let's look at who actually played for the Suns.
Yeah.
It was their bench basically starting. So, no, I don't think it's an easy game, but it's a game we should win.
Oh, for sure.
And I think we will.
For sure.
Once again, let us know what you guys think about the current status of the Minnesota Timberwolves. They haven't been the Timber Pups in quite some time.
Yeah, for sure. And
All
then we got Fight Night.
This is going to be a Nick segment. I might chime in here, but this is all.
I just wanted to touch on it real quick because there's Ryan Garcia's back. He is the young, up and coming, absolute stud for the boxing world right now. I forgot just how violent this guy was until I went back and watched all of his career knockouts last night. In preparation of his return, he's been dealing with some mental issues. He changes coaches. What's up?
I have to interject. I apologize.
What's up?
Through 6, Tiger Woods is 1 under.
Let's go.
Tied for 3rd. All right, continue. I apologize.
Yeah. So Saturday night, he'll be going up against Emmanuel. I think it's Tagoe. I don't 100% know how to
I'd
pronounce
say
that.
to go.
Yeah, to go. Both of them have been on a little bit of a tear, facing good competition. Ryan Garcia sits somewhere near the top of that division with guys like Javonte Davis. And they call him like the 4 kings of that division right now. And if he comes out and returns to form and dominates and stacks up another knockout, which I believe will put him at, you see it on the screen, 22-0. This is what could set 2022 up to be a good rest of the year in boxing, because I believe then the matches that follow, he's going to have to take on Javonte Davis. He's going to have to start to collect the other belts, and that's really what's going to elevate him and the rest of the sport, because unlike anyone else in boxing right now, this guy's got the media attention that we haven't seen in a very long time.
Yep.
So I'm extremely excited to see this. Yeah.
Tells you all you need to know.
Sorry if you don't mind me ringing in on this.
Go ahead.
So, did you read much about To Go or
No.
whatever? Yeah. And I haven't either yet. I've been way too busy this week, but this is killing me because I want to see Garcia fight,
Yeah.
for sure. But it sure reeks of a tune-up.
32-1 is not a joke of a record, though.
It's not, but I don't know who he's fought, and I don't know why they would put him in with a monster after a mental health break.
That's
what I
true
mean?
too.
But
He
I still
also
wanna see
changed
it.
coaches, which was interesting to me. For him to, his primary camp prior to him taking his leave of absence was with Eddie Alvarez over
Right.
with Canelo,
He left there?
and he left. So he's got a different coach now. So I'm very, very intrigued to see how this is going to go this weekend.
To go is ranked 9th in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I mean, what is Garcia's rankings? Rankings are so
It's like
complex with this
1
stuff.
or 2.
No, he's not that high. He's got to be like
at his
7.
weight,
5th
5th.
5th
on the
Okay.
same list.
Okay, so yeah, so I guess whatever.
So it's 5 versus 9. That's a pretty big
better.
fight.
That's
Yeah.
I mean, and not to say that Garcia's punching down, but in boxing is all about experience. You know what I mean? You look at the difference in fights here. There's an 11 fight difference that in ring time after a break.
Garcia is the favorite and the guy that has all the eyes and everything, but it is not a sure win.
Do you say,
for him.
or do you see how tall To Go is?
Yeah,
Because if he's a bruising fighter who's like compact,
he is.
that would be just
5'8".
I was gonna say that's a good selection for him. 5'8"
Yeah.
short, because I bet Garcia's 6'1".
5'11".
Garcia's
He's
long.
only 5'11".
5'11".
Maybe he's so skinny.
Well, but he's
But he's
very
so
long
fast.
and he's so fast.
Right.
Like he's one of those rare guys where his power doesn't come from like muscular strength. It comes from torque and speed. He's like he hits that shot he hit Luke Campbell with or whatever.
There's also a 10-year age difference.
Okay, that could play.
Old man strength, dude.
Yeah, that could
I'm
play a
in.
role.
Yeah.
What's your prediction here, Gabe?
Well, I think Garcia for sure because
By knockout?
I think just because he held the cards politically, so I assume that they chose this guy even though he's well ranked and stuff. I'm
Yeah.
guessing they see something in his style that they think they can
Exploit.
exploit. But I'll say this: interesting thing for that division and the landscape is Gervonta Tank Davis just had a falling out with Floyd publicly again,
Yep.
and they actually addressed, that basically that he's holding him back, protecting him. And because I was starting to think this Garcia Tank thing is never going to happen.
Oh, if Ryan wins this fight, I believe we're going to get that one in probably September.
I think
would
we
believe.
should. I'm so used to just never getting these things that I feel
Right.
like it's going to be 5 more fights or 3 more fights. But I would be rooting for that. I would love to see that fight.
Same.
Yeah, love to see that.
I'm thinking Garcia by knockout, probably in
I
the
think it's-
third or fourth round. I would assume it seems to be where he racks up a lot of that. Guys, he wears on people.
Where can we watch it? Is it on anywhere?
It's DAZN. It's
Okay.
DAZN.
I mean, is that pay-per-view or is
Yeah,
that a
it's on
subscription?
pay-per-view. It's on
Okay.
pay-per-view.
I also think it might be Emmanuel Tagoy
Tagoy.
because his nickname is Game Boy. So I'd say
Game Boy Tagoy. All right. Fair enough. We got it figured out.
Brilliant deduction.
Thank you, Mike.
I can read.
Look at that. I can't. So that's why we have Mike. I also can't write or spell.
All right,
or-
one more fight night check in quick, and we'll keep this boat moving. All right.
Yeah, UFC 273 has had a couple sleepers of cards, or UFC in general has had a few sleepers on the cards recently, but every once in a while, every about third pay-per-view, Dana White puts one together where he stacks some names up that people really want to see. And we're going to get the Sterling versus Peter Yan rematch after that brutal disqualification from the standing knee to a kneeling opponent. I think it was about a year ago at this point. And in my opinion, I know Aljamain Sterling had neck surgery, but I think part of him deciding or opting to have neck surgery because it wasn't from that blow, it was from a previous injury, is he's been ducking Peter Yan because I don't think he was in the ring or in the octagon with him for all of 2 rounds and looked like he was just going to embarrass him until that blow happened. And I think we're set for the same thing this weekend.
I'm just gonna make a real quick dad joke here.
Yeah.
This sounds like 2 currencies going at it: the sterling and the yuan.
That was a pretty good dad joke.
Wow.
Yeah, for a new dad, I like
Check that out.
Yeah, the winner gets the dollar.
By the way, I agree with you completely. I think they're I don't even know the last card that I've been psyched to watch.
Right.
Like truly where it's like, oh, this is going to be great. This is not a great one for names, but fighting styles, man, that Volkanovski is going to hit Zombie 350 times in the head.
Yes, 100%. That guy never has his hands up. But I think the other part of this is Dana has strapped the promotional rocket to the guy that you don't see on the poster right here. They're drawing in all of the people who only watch for belts to watch the guy that's the fight right before Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan, which is Cosmo Chimaya versus Gilbert Burns, because that guy has had 5 fights in the UFC. He's been hit 4 times.
Wow.
And he's knocked out everybody he's faced. Like the training stories that come out about him is like
It's like video game numbers.
it's insane. The guy has no quit in him. He almost had to retire from the UFC, Mike, because every time he would get COVID, he would just train through COVID, and the doctors had to pretty much sedate him to keep him from training. The guy is a machine. He just wants to smash everybody. And he's the only threat available right now to Kamaru Usman. And after he gets through Gilbert Burns, if he does it in convincing fashion, I think that's the fight we're going to get. I really do. And that's a dangerous fight for Usman.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So-
I think I totally agree. I've gone from hating that guy for some reason. The way he came in, I just didn't like him. And he's got that hair lip replacement thing. So I think that made me just visually be a dick. But which is unfair. I love the guy now. Listening to how Darren Till went to train with him and how reverential Darren Till is towards him. He doesn't say it, but it really feels like Darren Till's going yeah, he's on another level for me, the way he's talking. And Darren Till's a top 3 contender when he's good.
Yeah. And by the way, not that I want to tie Conor McGregor into every UFC story, but I think him calling out Kamaru Usman is, if anything, will be the fight that they get before Usman fights Cosmo, because I think that Usman would be shitting his pants to face a guy like this. Like that's a good fight, but he could lose the belt. And so what do you do before you potentially lose the belt? You take the money fight. So you'll get Conor versus Usman.
Take that payday. That's an awesome call. And I think you're exactly, yeah. I mean, I can see that too. And it's what a joke of a fight too. Like,
I don't know, man. Conor looks so much different at, 170 these days. I've been watching a lot of the like training videos that he's been putting out. He's just now, getting back into boxing. He hasn't exactly been cleared to spar or anything yet, but he looked so, looking at him now versus looking at him at 168 or whatever, or 145, like the lower weight, 155 or 145. He looks so unhealthy then compared to the way he looks now. Like he's not bloated. His belly is fat or is flat, It's impressive.
He looks great, but all we've seen is that his power does not come with him as effectively. Like, I mean, the first Nate Diaz fight.
Maybe. Yeah.
So, I don't know.
All right. Well, let us know what you guys think about the
Fights
Nights segment today. UFC 273, and then Ryan Garcia returning to the ring.
Yes, sir.
So with that, we'll transition. We have a really quick segment, just breaking NFL news that we want to touch base on with you guys.
Yeah, a couple of moves.
Devontae Parker to New England for a 2023 third and fifth.
How disrespectful.
I disagree.
They traded him for a bag of balls inside the division. I would be so upset if I was Devontae Parker.
I would be maybe upset at the Dolphins, but at the value itself, like what did Julio go for?
I think it was like a fourth, wasn't it?
Yeah, so a third and a fifth. Like receivers, it's interesting because they're worth $50 million a year in a contract, but they're also worth a mini fridge in a trade. So I don't know. It's interesting. I think Devontae Parker will fit in well with the Patriots. He's a B-level receiver.
He wasn't ever a really noisy guy in Miami either.
Yeah, you put Devontae Parker,
N'Keal Harry,
and then the guy doing the carts at Walmart in the slot. You got a decent receiving core in New England again. And then the second piece of information, you're gonna have to fill me in on this because I must have missed this somehow.
Gabe is gonna lose his shit when I tell you this storyline. And by the way, I'm gonna start this.
You're gonna do it quickly as well.
I'm gonna do it quickly, but I just want to start with so the Washington Commanders, they have a chant now, and it sounds a whole lot like the "We are farmers," bum ba-dum bum 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 bum. They just go "We are Commanders," and I think after you hear this, it's gonna be "We are Commanders." Dan Snyder's a piece of shit, because that is exactly who this man is. He has kept 2 sets of books for the Commanders and has managed to hide $40 million in ticket sales off the books that goes towards the NFL revenue share, which impacts the league-wide cap number annually.
So over $1 million from each team, if you want to break it down.
Yes. $40 million in just ticket sales. That's not anything else that goes towards revenue share, right? So who knows what else is on those books, but that's what he's being accused of now. And this is going to get real hairy. And I'm going to make a callback to something that Gabe asked a few weeks ago on the show. He asked, with the whole Deshaun Watson thing, if this is really something where they're trying to hold him back, should ownership be worried? There'd be huge legal ramifications. This tells me no. Because if you see this and he isn't immediately forced out of NFL ownership, then every owner is bulletproof.
Yeah, that was my first thought too, is going back to the conversation that we had a few weeks ago about what can these owners get away with.
Everything now. Everything. Nothing is off the table.
Yeah, it's kind of bad. Like, I think we said it a few weeks ago that the owners need to have bylaws and a code of conduct as well, because this is getting out of hand, and it's Dan Snyder every time.
It is Dan Snyder every time, and you can't just continue to let the blame go other places. Right. $40 million in ticket sales was withheld, and you still have pipes bursting in your stadium.
I mean, yeah, let's just go down the list. So he said Redskins wasn't offensive years ago. Well, now they have a whole new team name, so clearly it was. Sexually harassed cheerleaders.
Sexually harassed, required them to send in topless photos to keep their jobs.
Right. Doesn't maintain his stadium
at all.
Pipes burst on fans. Stole money from the NFL. I know that there was one more.
But that's the thing. You shouldn't have to sit here and go, oh, there's more than this, but I can't remember what it is because there have been so many offenses, and he still gets to own a team.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Has there been any reporting about it? So money stuff should absolutely all be addressed in the league bylaws, you
Yes.
know, or whatever. So it's like, has there been any reporting on that? Because you think this would be a very black and white issue.
They're still investigating it. And this is where it gets funny with the NFL, because the NFL's as a whole, the commissioner's job, it's different from any other sport. Because in baseball, the commissioner is the go-between for the owners and the players, right? In the NBA, the commissioner is the go-between, pretty much between the media and the organizations. In football, the commissioner's job is one thing and one thing only: protect the reputation of the Shield above all else. That is the only thing that they are truly responsible for. And this is where it gets a little hairy for me, because now if you kick him out, pretty much saying that he's guilty, that's a black mark on the Shield, because that was an owner that you allowed to stay in power for a while.
Is it not a black mark on the Shield, though, to just let an owner do all of the things that he's done?
Right. But then the other side of the coin is, well, then we could leave him an owner and say that he's not guilty or pass the buck off and kind of protect ourselves or whatever. So I think that's where this gets really, really tight, because there's no right answer for the commissioner to make a move against Dan Snyder.
I think
Well,
go ahead, Gabe.
I'm so sorry, but I was just going to say the lawsuit that they're facing, if they try to make that move to get him out,
Yeah.
is mammoth.
Oh, it'd be
I mean, that's as big of a lot.
humongous.
So you know that, yeah, they're going to take a long time to make sure that it's bulletproof before they move on him.
So it's been bad. And I know his wife is running the day-to-day operations at this point, but every month, it seems like once a quarter, it's something else.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it was any other owner, you might think twice, but if you don't kick him out now, there's just going to be another story in 6 months.
Yeah.
And
if you're a player, how do you want to go play with them? If you're Carson Wentz and you get traded to the Commanders,
I don't think it's as bad because Ron Rivera is leading the team itself.
If you're Ron Rivera, how do you want to stay there?
I don't know how much interaction Ron Rivera has with Dan Snyder on a daily basis.
If you're the GM, how can you trust that? Shit rolls downhill.
I get what you're saying. I just don't necessarily think it's affecting Carson Wentz's day-to-day responsibilities or duties, and I don't really think it's affecting Ron Rivera.
Well, it's definitely not bringing any more positive media to a guy that could use all he could get right now.
Agreed, but it's different.
This is it for me. That was the last straw for me. He seems like the kind of guy who has 25. I can't read that word.
Percocets a day. Have it.
Yeah, I mean,
he's like one of those
Probably
rich
not
guys who, eats a bunch of painkillers and takes ecstasy and has sex with prostitutes.
Wolf of Wall Street
Good
popped
guy.
into my head right as I read that comment.
Yep.
Maybe more Quaaludes, but yeah.
All right, so let us know what your guys' thoughts are on the Devontae Parker trade to New England, and should the NFL give the axe to Dan Snyder and the Washington Commanders? We are Commanders. Dan Snyder is a piece of shit. You can sound clip that. We'll use it all season.
We're definitely late night this week.
Yep. And now we can move on over to the long anticipated mock draft. Me and Mike are going to roll through this quickly here, but the NFL draft is on the 28th. And before we get going, we should pub our event that we have going on a little bit on the 28th. We will be here from 7 to 8:30, or roughly around when the Vikings go ahead and do their picks with special guests and giveaways and all sorts of things. Throwing an NFL draft party. I know you guys are sick and tired of all of Mel Kiper's cold takes, so go ahead, come on over here, listen to us while you watch the show. It'll be a good time.
You know what the biggest difference is?
What?
You can't tell Mel Kiper that he is wrong. You can tell us that we're wrong.
Yeah, you'll have comments that can come up on the screen. We'll answer questions about your team, what your draft strategy should be, the whole 9 yards. We're going to have a great time on the 28th. I know Gabe's pumped. I'm pumped. Mike's pumped. We've got a group of people that have already said that they're going to stop by. Make sure you do not miss it. But before then, we should probably give them a preview of what we think these teams are going to do.
Yeah, so we're going to do a little mock draft the next few weeks. So on the 7th, which is today, 14th and 21st, we're going to be going through all 32 teams in the first round at least.
Yes, sir.
Giving you an idea of what we think is going to happen. So we're going to kick that off today with picks 1 through 11. We're going to have roughly about 2 minutes per pick, and that's between the both of us. So it's going to be kind of quick. And then we'll try our best to maybe clip it by team.
Oh, yeah, and we'll get it out to the appropriate fan bases for sure.
Get it out to the appropriate fan bases. So let's start us off here with the 2022 NFL mock draft. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock.
Yeah, their big needs right now are defensive line, linebacker, and safety. Now, I will say, I think their defensive front is more athletic right now than people give it credit for, evident by what they were able to do against teams like Buffalo and Indianapolis last year. Maybe it's just a developmental thing. And I don't think, and I know you agree with this too, because we had talked about it prior to the show, nothing that they can draft at number 1 is going to be worthy of number 1 pick value. So I think their best bet would actually be to trade out of this for future draft capital. But by default, they're probably going to wind up with Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end, just because that's who's at the top of the board.
Yeah, I agree completely. I don't think that there is that number 1 overwhelming player in this draft. Everybody's talked about how this class is weak for quarterbacks. I think this class is just a little weak, to be honest with you.
I think the overall talent, we've talked about this, the overall talent level, like deep into the draft might be a tad bit higher, but there's nobody who separates.
Top end
Yeah.
talent. So I'm going to have to agree with you. I think Aiden Hutchinson probably goes first overall to Jacksonville. But if I was Jacksonville's GM, I'm trading out of that pick as well.
Yeah. All right. So then we have at number 2, the Detroit Lions with Dan Campbell's Motor City Kitties, the hosts of off-season Hard Knocks this year. Should be a good time on HBO. Their needs are quarterback, linebacker, and defensive back, Mike.
Yeah. To be honest, what I would do if I was Detroit is probably go offensive line again.
Okay.
I think having Penei Sewell on one end, if you got another bookend tackle, like you're good for 10 years now.
Okay.
I don't think that that's the way that they're going to go.
I don't either.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Kayvon Thibodeau drafted here.
Okay.
I honestly think that Karlaftis from Purdue might even be better than Thibodeau. But Thibodeau's got the hype, and Detroit doesn't do super well with high draft picks typically. Maybe exception is Calvin Johnson, but yeah, I'll lock it in as Kayvon Thibodeau goes second.
Okay. I took a little bit of a different approach. I know Jared Goff's got 1 year, 2 years maybe left. That's 1 year left on that deal with Detroit. So time to get yourself a successor, and who fits the personality of Dan Campbell better than Kenny Pickett? I would not be surprised to see Kenny Pickett wind up in Detroit. He's a little bit more mobile. I think he has the ability to be kind of like that Matt Stafford, the blue blood Detroit, do whatever I have to try to
him.
Right. Do whatever I have to win the game style quarterback. So I actually have Kenny Pickett going at 2 to Detroit.
Okay.
All right. Boom. Number 3. The Houston Texans, who need everything but a quarterback, even though Mike would disagree with me.
I think the obvious pick, if you're the Texans, is Evan Neal.
Okay.
If you truly believe, and I'll make this stipulation, if you truly believe that Davis Mills is your guy, you need that tackle. Like, if you're building an NFL team, quarterback first, tackle next.
Okay.
And Evan Neal is, in my opinion, the best tackle available.
This year, the top of this year's draft seems so much less clear cut to me than any other draft in history. But with
It's gonna be
everything,
an interesting, top 15, man.
with everything that Houston needs, and seeing who they hired as a head coach, a defensive-minded Lovie Smith, I think they're going to wind up going defense, and he's going to get his leader. So
Okay.
I would go with Travon Walker here. Trying to find a guy that's going to be able to control the defense a little bit, be able to, help in both the pass and run game, give them some sustainability. And it's more of a, even because Lovie Smith may not be your long-term option at head coach, it's a pick that whoever might come in after him is still going to be, it's kind of like a can't lose style choice at number 3.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that. I think it's a reach, though. I think he's more of a he's probably like a top 10, maybe top 15 talent.
Okay.
And taking him at 3, I don't know. You need that guy who's for sure going to be there for 10 years, not just the first contract,
That's fair. All right. After that, we have the New York Jets. Kind of an interesting year for New York teams. Lots of picks early in the first round of the draft. So we're going to go through pick number 4, and then we'll actually give them pick number 10 here as well, Mike.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as a Vikings fan, I think this is where you see Sauce Gardner go.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think 2-3 weeks ago.
It might have been Stingley or McDuffie, but
It may have been different 2-3 weeks ago based on the moves that were made at wide receiver inside the division. 2-3 weeks ago, Tyreek Hill isn't there. 2-3 weeks ago, Mac Jones didn't have a true number one target who they could also. I mean, Devontae Parker was.
Sorry, Devontae Parker is not a true number one.
He's going to be the number one in New England.
That's cool, but he's still not a one.
I got you, but I'm just saying, you look at the rest of that division. Stephon Diggs gets a contract extension. You're going to have somebody who can cover up those weapons, and Sauce Gardner is the obvious option at 4. I'd be running to the podium to pick him up.
Agreed.
So who at number 10 then for you, Mike?
Ooh, you want to get 10 now?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's kind of tough because I don't know who's left. Would it be okay with you and Gabe if we swung back around? No, right now 10.
Yeah, we can do it. I mean, as long as Gabe's cool with it, I'm cool.
Gabe, would that be okay? Or do you want pick number 10 as well right now before 5 through 9?
We'll move on. Silence is compliance.
Silence.
Hey, don't blame me. All right, pick number 5.
Pick number 5.
The New York Giants. So New York team's kind of going on a little bit of a run here in the draft. Once again, with all of the holes that they have, I think their best move would be to trade out of either the 5th or the 7th pick. One of them to get a decent amount of draft capital for Daboll in year 2 after being able to evaluate what he has on roster. Okay. If you're going to stay, I think you have to do everything in your power to protect Daniel Jones and get Saquon Barkley to a place where he can become a relevant rusher again and see what he's got. I have Evan Neal here going at 5.
Okay. And I have Ike Ekwonu going at 5. And then now I feel bad for not doing 10.
It's all right.
Well,
Let's keep going.
So, I mean, I'll say who will be at 7 as well then.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's going to be, in my opinion, Ekwonu at 5.
Yep.
And then 7 is where I would maybe draft Karlaftis, to be honest.
Okay. So you're going to go back to the defense.
Just beef up the lines, both sides.
I agree, but I think staying on the offensive side of the ball, you really, because if you're going to pay Saquon, like if he returns to form, you're not going to be able to afford to pay your offensive line in the coming years. So stay on that side of the ball. They got 1 guy last year. They'll get 2 more this year. That way you don't have to invest a ton into the offensive line. I actually had them going inside then and going with Charles Cross. I know it seems
so you have them taking 2 offensive linemen in the top 10.
Yes.
Wow.
I think it would be the wise move because then you can they have a lot of expensive weapons. They've already they saw Evan Ingram leave this year.
I just think they need
based
more
on cap.
help on the defensive side.
What has made Buffalo really, really good the last few years in the development of Josh Allen? The ability to protect him. Even lacking a run game, it would not surprise me to see. Like I said, though, they should trade out of one of those 2 picks with a team like Green Bay or Pittsburgh, who's looking to move up and get a quarterback or a wide receiver at the top of the draft. That I would be okay with as well.
Okay.
So that's 5 and 7 for the Giants. Then we go to pick number 6 in the Carolina Panthers.
So I think this is where you see your first quarterback gone.
I think it's where we see the second quarterback gone.
And I don't know who the first quarterback is. It could be Pickett. Rumors have it they really like Malik because of the proximity of Liberty. And to be honest, as somebody who doesn't think that Malik Willis will be who everybody thinks he is.
Blasphemy, Michael.
I think it would be really funny to see Carolina pull the trigger at 6. And I'm sorry, dude. If they pull the trigger on Malik Willis at 6, history repeats itself. Christian Ponder 2.0.
Oh my God. You did not just say that.
I'm not
Christian Ponder couldn't hold Malik Willis's athletic jockstrap.
I don't think he's going to be super successful, especially if he has the pressure of a top, basically 5 pick, top quarterback in the draft taken. I don't know, man.
Based on my view,
I see Malik in my world that I live in, where the sky is green. Malik Willis goes 6 and is not successful.
You guys thought I was crazy. I think he goes here for the same reason, but I think Tepper wants a weapon. Tepper was okay. The quarterbacks that he's been rumored for being interested in: Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. There's one more, and I'm missing on who it would be. He likes the athletic guy. He likes the guy that's mobile. He likes the guy that is a threat not only in the passing game, but the running game. Like, that's who he's been after. He's going to get his weapon here. And you're right. He may not be talent level wise a top 5 quarterback. But what happens to guys that know how to invest? They'll get him, and they're going to surround him in the next 5 years with a astonishing amount of talent to elevate his play. And they'll probably get back into the playoffs in a division that after Tom Brady leaves doesn't have a whole lot of options right now.
Okay.
Malik Willis at 6.
Malik Willis at 6. We actually agree on that. Just the outcome we disagree on.
Oh, I'm right.
So
Guess what,
7
I
we
was
already
crazy.
did.
So 8.
8. Wow,
Atlanta?
Atlanta. You need a lot, buds.
There's a ton of holes here.
So this is actually where I see what's his name again? That's the D tackle from Georgia.
Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis goes here.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Georgia guy. They need
Yeah.
a ton of help everywhere. I think he's going to be a splash player in the middle of your defensive line that's just going to disrupt and help with every level of your defense. He's going to sell tickets as well.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a win on every aspect.
My thought on this was there's a lot of people out there right now that said Calvin Ridley's gone, Kyle Pitts is going to need help, Marcus Mariota is going to need help, you got to draft a wide receiver. I'm not investing any more in weapons in Atlanta until I start to shore up the other places because, like you said, you want a guy that's going to be here for more than just the first contract, right? I agree. I think it's going to be Jordan Davis at 8 to Atlanta. And by the way, Ben Lieber, do your homework. For you to say that this guy is not a 4-down defensive lineman is absurd, and you need to be checked for CTE. The guy is a game changer.
Ben, I respectfully disagree. That's all I'm going to say.
Not with me, though. With him?
No, with him. Ben, I respectfully disagree with your take on that certain player, sir.
If you want to come defend it on this show, we have a draft party on the 28th. You can come defend your stance. But I think you're insane. So that's who we got. Jordan Davis, 8, the Atlanta Falcons. Then at 9, Seattle Seahawks. A little bit of turnover. Some people thinking they might be still looking quarterback if there's one available. Otherwise, tackle and edge rushers or Seattle.
Who's, like, if the season started today, who are they starting at quarterback?
Drew Lock.
My God. So what I see happening in Seattle is a tank for Tua situation. They'll, like, if I were them, what I would do is start Drew Lock this year and suck, and then take a quarterback next year in a more talented quarterback class, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So because of that thinking, I'm gonna get my tackle now for that quarterback. So with who I've taken off the board thus far, I do really like Charles Cross from Mississippi State.
Okay.
But my favorite tackle, and I don't know if he's the best tackle.
Is it Trevor Penning?
My favorite tackle is Trevor Penning.
I'm a huge fan of his as
And
well.
I think he fits that old time
Pete
Seattle
Carroll.
beast mode type. We're going to shove it down your throat. I'd love to see Trevor Penning go here to Seattle.
Yeah.
And if something like that happens, that shows me we're going to tank next year and take a better quarterback even next year.
Yeah, I think your options at quarterback are a whole lot better in the next 2 years, actually, with the guys that are coming out. Trevor Penning was my pick as well here.
Really?
That's exactly who I had. Pete Carroll's going to have no option but to run the football a lot this year. Listen, DK Metcalf could still be on the move. Like, I know that sounds
He's
ridiculous.
supposed to be the leader of the team, though.
I understand that. But I really do believe that after seeing Bobby Wagner leave and Russell, is DK in a year where they're going to need to re-up his contract here soon, going to want to base his contract or his new contract off numbers that came from Drew Lock being his quarterback?
Right.
Probably not. And more than anybody, I think Green Bay, who's been rumored to already be thinking about making a move in the draft, could be part of that equation right now. So get a tackle and buckle up. It's going to be a long year in Seattle.
Agreed. So we're going to swing back to 10 with our amazing producer that I throw curveballs to. Gabe, you're great, man. Thank you. and this is swinging back to the New York Jets at 10.
Yep, go ahead.
Thanks, Gabe. They need a lot of help. I wouldn't be too surprised to see. This is where I wouldn't be super surprised to see either a McDuffie or a Stingley
Okay.
go, and then whoever's left might be who the Vikings take at that point.
Okay.
At 12, a little teaser for you guys for next show for the Vikes. I also wouldn't be surprised to see there's two other guys, Garrett Wilson
Okay.
from Ohio State,
Yep.
or the safety from Notre Dame, Kyle Hamilton.
So I've got it narrowed down to two guys as well, and Hamilton sticks out to me. The Jets were atrocious in pass defense last year.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was thinking corner too. So it's what position do they really want to address?
Right. Hamilton makes a ton of sense to me at 10 because I think now I know I had the Giants go back-to-back O-linemen. That's a little bit different than going back-to-back corners because then if they're both good, paying them is you're losing one of them automatically.
Yeah, but dude, for 4 years you'd have Sauce and Stingley. Oh my God.
I totally agree. But I think Hamilton makes a ton of sense at safety for them. Otherwise, they're going to get Zach Wilson, a true weapon. And I think Chris Olave.
So you like Olave more than Wilson?
I do. I think his contested catch rate, his ability to go up and get the football with Wilson being a little bit more of a gunslinger like we had seen at BYU makes more sense in that system. They already have their big body receiver in Corey Davis, and they got their little speedster last year in Elijah Moore. So getting Olave to me would be kind of like getting Stephon Diggs. That's the mold that he fits, in my opinion.
Do you have a strong opinion either way on the receiver from USC, Drake London?
Great fit for Green Bay.
Because he reminds me of that, not going to super take the top off, bigger receiver, can make those contested catches as well.
Yeah, Eric Decker.
Yeah. Maybe a little smaller Eric Decker, but very similar. And that's kind of what you were saying the Jets are kind of looking for too.
Yep.
So,
but Hamilton does make a ton of sense to me at 10.
Okay, so we both think that it's probably going to be like a Sauce Hamilton duo at 4 and 10 there. So.
I mean, that's a defensive-minded head coach too, guys. Keep in mind.
It is, and to win the game, you have to score more points or not allow them to score as many as you.
Yep.
So our last pick of today's show is going to be the Washington Commanders.
Do you know the chant?
Yeah, but I don't want to be on late night cable, so I'm not going to say it.
All right, go ahead. Give me your pick. Looks like they need a quarterback, even though they just got Carson Wentz, interior offensive linemen, and linebackers.
Yeah, this was probably my toughest one, as I've still not fully decided.
Oh, I know.
To be honest,
flat out who I'd get. If looking through the eyes of Ron Rivera, I know who I'd be standing on the table for.
Is it Devin Lloyd?
It's Jacoby Dean.
Jacoby Dean.
Listen, man, their linebacker core then becomes Montez Sweat, Chase Young, and in the middle, Jacoby Dean. You find another linebacker in there as a part of that 3-4 scheme that they have, and they're going to be a problem for a lot of teams. They've got good corners. They've got okay safeties at this point. I don't think you can draft into the offense anymore in the first round without feeling like you're reaching, but Jacoby Dean feels like a Ron Rivera guy. And he's already been a part of a defense and had a ton of success that had a lot of similar weapons at Georgia.
So I'm going to say Devin Lloyd for the same reasons. And the reason I'm going to say Lloyd over Dean is I think Lloyd has a little bit more versatility.
Okay.
So I'm just going to actually read this little quote here. Has the ability to play both on the outside and in the middle. To his 2021 stat line, 110 tackles, along with 8 sacks, 4 picks, and a fumble recovery. He reminds me of basically this year's draft class of Micah Parsons with maybe not as much edge pressure.
Not as much. Micah Parsons is a different animal.
I think, dude, have you watched Devin Lloyd play actually?
I mean, yeah, but he doesn't jump off. Not as much as I probably should have. He doesn't jump off
100 plus tackles in basically 14 games is insane.
Yeah.
If you get 100 tackles in the NFL with 18 games, that's a lot. So 110 tackles and 8 sacks to go along with 4 picks. Not only can he rush the passer, stop the run, and he flies around, makes tackles, but he can disrupt the passing game as well and make sure to drop to that hook curl zone and pick you off.
I also think.
Can you imagine what Ron Rivera would be able to do with moving him around?
No, I agree. I also think that Jacoby Dean, some people have retracted from his value based on all of the other talent that was in Georgia.
That is part of my thinking, is playing interior linebacker in a 3-4 system. When you have a defensive tackle like a Jordan Davis who is going to take up 2 or 3 blockers, you're able to just run and play football. And I just don't see that being what's going to happen at the next level for Washington.
Look up their defensive line. Look up their interior. Their interior defensive linemen are pretty freaking good.
Jonathan Allen.
Chase Young, Montez.
Chase Young is on the outside. So
Sweat's on the other side.
Yeah, so they have an exterior pressure. They don't have much interior. So
there's another guy outside of Allen that's there. That is underrated.
Is decent.
Yes.
Yes. It's well, isn't it still Ioannidis?
Yes.
They're good. They're not Jordan Davis versus the offensive line that he was facing good though.
I'll draw it to this and we can leave it. Which one of them do you think more represents Luke Kuechly?
I think the one that represents Luke Kuechly more is Dean.
Okay.
But which one would truly help that defense? I personally, if I'm Ron Rivera, I'm looking at Devin Lloyd thinking, I could do a lot with this guy.
Oh,
I could line him up over that slot receiver and bring him on pressure with, you can bring Devin Lloyd off the slot receiver on the same side as Chase Young.
The Washington's football
that's scary, bro.
Washington's football team is not where I thought we were going to come to a head on a little bit of a debate over the same position.
No, it's just the fit, right? It's really, we agree they need a linebacker. We agree they need a big time linebacker in the top 10 of the draft.
Yes.
What kind of a fit are they really going to go for? I think it would benefit Ron Rivera and the defense to have a little bit more of a versatile player. That's all.
That's fair. No, I don't disagree. I don't think either picks are bad.
I don't either.
You get either one of those guys. You close your book on the first round of the draft and go A- at worst.
Yep. So those are our first 11 picks of the 2022 NFL draft, which will be taking place on April 28th, starting off at 7 p.m. And we'll be right here with you guys.
And
girls. And be sure to check in with us, comment in during our live draft show that we're going to have. There is a cat on the table.
Go away.
And that is pretty much our show for today, man. I really look forward to kicking off our NFL mock draft segment for next week as we start with the number 12 pick, which, if you didn't know, is owned by the Minnesota Vikings.
It's almost like I did that shit on purpose.
Almost.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I think we're going to do some draft reactions to what other people have said the Vikings should do. We'll give you our opinions. We'll update you on everything that's been going on with the Vikings, and then we'll give you picks 12 through probably 22-ish next week. Make sure you turn in as well as me and Mike get ready to cover the Saints starting next week as well. NBA playoffs will be ready to start, so we will be breaking down all of the action there as the Timberwolves get ready for their play-in/playoff game and recap of the Masters.
This is the funnest time of the year, in my opinion, as far as sports.
Yeah.
You have the Masters, you have NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, baseball starting, the draft. You literally have almost every sport covered with something going on.
Yeah.
Very fun.
It's gonna be a good time. Not a long time, but it's going to be a good time. So make sure that you guys tune in with us next Thursday for that. Mike, what platforms can they find us on to follow along with this highly anticipated content?
If you are a sports fan with sports fan friends, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, Patreon, and Twitch.
Man, that page is getting long.
Yes, sir.
Also, you can find us on MCN Channel 6 Saturdays at 10. That's probably your best bet because I cuss a lot. As always, glad to have you guys with us for another week of sports talk. Excited to see you again next week. Hopefully the weather gets a little bit better, but in the meantime, stay warm, stay safe, take care. Nailed it, Gabe.
MBC, no relation to NBC.